When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois. We're doing this thing. We're back at it. We're here again. We're fired up. And I think neither of us are in need of ACL surgery, which is a bonus.
For now. I mean, I played Monday night. Why are you trying to jinx me?
I don't know. Your knees are holding up right now. Could you play right back for the U.S. men's national team if needed?
Could I? Yes. I mean, I could put a uniform on, put cleats on, and go out there and kick a ball. At that level,
Do you think you would touch the ball? You think you'd be able to touch the
it's
ball?
possible I throw it in.
Okay, I guess that's true. I guess that's a possible thing. Yeah.
Listen, I could give a good 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, you could be out there.
Oh,
what would happen?
trust me, you would find me getting the yellow card so quick for tugging on a jersey as a guy runs past me. Denial of a goal scoring opportunity.
You have to put your arm out like full on in order to. Yeah, that's the way that would go.
They call it J. Rodso.
Obviously, the U.S. men's national team in need of a fullback after the news that Sergino Dest is out for a long spell thanks to an injury picked up in training. How do we think he did
not
that,
the worst timing, but it's close. I mean, worst timing would be out for the World Cup.
Better
right?
to have it now than for the World Cup. But
for Sergino personally, it's pretty bad. I mean, this is a year where he is on loan to PSV. All indications were PSV was very happy with this loan and likely to make it permanent.
Yes.
And so now he's going to be going as a Barca-owned player back to a club that has no interest in keeping him. He has no value while he's injured. Do you think, does Ernie Stewart pull a good homie solid and just be like, we believe in him, we'll sign him anyway?
That's been said. Then in the media, even post injury, it's come out that they're still like, yeah, we're progressing on negotiations, and we would like to figure this out. You know, again, I don't know what Barcelona needs all the nickels they can rub together right now. So, well, I mean, you know, PSV comes and says,
well, I mean, let's be honest too. From Ernie Stewart's perspective, you're going to get him on the cheap now. You're going to get him what, 70% of the value you probably were going to get him for before.
Well, he didn't have a ton of value to Barcelona. Like everybody knows, like Barcelona knows.
Listen, he had more value. He has more value. He was going to have more value this transfer summer than last year, where he had a bad AC Milan stint. Couldn't find favor with Barcelona. Couldn't find a team to take him. They were going to get, even outside of PSV, I'm sure they were going to get other offers. Look what the guy was doing this season. I think PSV probably had something built into the contract to get first dibs, but I don't think they were going to be hard pressed to find a suitor for him this summer before this.
Okay, maybe. I mean, I guess it depends on the level you're talking about and the value that they could actually get, right? That's all true. But yeah, it's all relative. So I mean, like for PSV, it stinks. They're winning a title. That's not an issue for them on that front. They won't have him to start next year. They have to figure it out with Barcelona. But for the U.S. men's national team, again, the upshot is, whoops, injury to a key player. And look, I've had my issues with Sergino Dest, not even about the Trinidad red card, just about the way he plays and how it leaves the U.S. Open sometimes. But it is undeniable that the dude gives you an attacking threat that other teams have to account for. And there's not another guy in this pool who comes close. So there's Sergino Dest when it comes to it, the attacking end.
We don't have another ankle breaker in the team. That is the only ankle breaker that we've got. There's no one else that's got that flavor, you know, the ability to just floor a dude on the dribble. Who do you think can compete with that?
I think Christian's got it in the bag sometimes.
I think Christian has a quick gear to go forward. I don't think he has the change of direction and the step overs and the sleight of hand, the sleight of foot. Excuse me.
But I have seen him slalom some dudes. But yes, you're right. Sergino Dest is on another level.
Sergino Dest is out there trying to embarrass fools.
He is. Yes, he is out there doing
Not
and one
Clint
stuff.
Dempsey, have we had someone, and Clinton Mathis. He's in that vein for the U.S.
He is
for the U.S. national team.
he is Clint Dempsey playing right back. Is a lot of what he does. What does that mean? Like, where do they go? Like, what does good old Greg do now? Like, it's
calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
He doesn't have. That's a safety blanket. I mean,
it's like our presidential election. It's a series of bad options. It's just a ton of bad options.
I'm going to let you play this one out.
I mean, there's no
Joe
good.
Scally
you look down. No, I don't know about
Ryan
that. I'm not actually trying to give the personas.
Which one is RFK Jr.?
I'm not trying to
denies the veracity of vaccines. Which
I
one
am.
is that?
I am not trying to subscribe certain peoples to the personas. I'm just saying that there's no good options when you look down here. It's like, oh crap, which one of these guys are we going to go with?
Okay.
I think what it allows Greg to do, and this is going to frustrate the crap out of some people, it allows him to be, he's probably going to game manage that position. It is going to be certain guys are the right guys for that game and not have a consistent starter. I don't think there's a guy when you look down the pen, you say that's the guy for every situation.
Okay. Recall that when Sergino Dest was unavailable because of the shenanigans that he pulled in Trinidad, and some other things happened with bad play in the first half, Joe Scally getting a start, who slid back into the right back position? Do you recall, Mr. Dubois?
Well, I mean, Joe Scally started the game like that.
Yes. Who finished the game? Who finished
Weston McKennie.
Weston McKennie finished the game.
It's an option. I am of the mind that Joe Scally is not a bad right back. He's not. He's
I don't think
starter
he's
in the Bundesliga for a decent team. There's people out there that say that he has had bad games for U.S. national team. Very in the same regard that
some players
you can say that about Malik Tillman as well,
despite being good club players. Some
you can say Alexander has been that way as well.
All right, sure.
There's guys that for some reason have struggled to translate it to the national team level. Joe Scally hasn't had a ton of options. He's had a few. He's had some moments that he could have shined if he wanted to, and he didn't. But I don't think his career as an option is done. I think he's probably the de facto right back right now. But I do think that you versus certain teams, like say you're playing the Jamaicas of CONCACAF and you're playing the Guatemalas of CONCACAF, you may slot in a Tim Weah or a Weston McKennie and try to. Those are the teams that we've traditionally had a hard time breaking down.
Okay.
Why not have another creative player on the field, another offensive player on the field, because you can play three.
Okay, let me. You mentioned some teams, some names, some CONCACAF opponents.
Yep.
Let me remind you who the United States plays at the Copa America tournament in their group stage. They want to get out and they want to make some runs and they want to go deep and maybe win the whole damn thing. Why the hell not? It is Bolivia, Panama, and Uruguay. And maybe you get away with it against Bolivia and Panama if you're just kind of like Joe Scally, Brian Reynolds, Shaq Moore. I don't know. I mean, how deep are we going down this list? Who am I missing? But against Uruguay, really? Against Uruguay, you're gonna be like, yeah, that's
no. I'm not mentioning Uruguay. I think that's the game where you probably do see someone like a Joe Scally. Where you have a more defensive minded right back that is not going to be asked to get as much into the attack.
No, but that's the opposite of what I would want to see, because you can't sit back, sit deep, and expect to win that game on their terms. You have to go at them. You have to provide a threat. You have to pin their wingers.
It's hard for us to say either of those. We have to generalize this somewhat because we don't know what point position. This is the third game of the group. We don't know what point position the U.S. is going to be in that game.
Okay.
That's going to play into this as well.
I mean, you can't plan for all contingencies, but you got to plan for some contingencies. You got to prioritize your contingencies. So
let's say this then: if Copa America's tomorrow, what right backs are you taking? Let's make it. Let's just talk more. That's probably a better conversation then.
All right.
Is Joe Scally on your list?
Yes, it's Joe Scally.
And I would consider Reggie Cannon. I would consider Reggie Cannon.
No.
Hear me out.
No.
No, okay, let's move on.
No, I'm going to hear you out. Sorry. I just got used to saying no for a second. I want to keep saying no.
Because if you're talking about
got a 3-year-old,
Joe Scally,
yeah,
Joe Scally, a fresh young right back that's doing well in the Bundesliga.
fresh.
I think you maybe
I
want
want
to
it to be
take another version of that, a different version of that, and you want a guy that has the cap experience, a veteran, a guy that has been there, done that for the U.S. national team at that level. And when you look at it, it's not Brian Reynolds, it's not Shaq Moore. You know, Shaq Moore was on a World Cup roster. I know that we know that's not he didn't get that much that run in that. When I'm looking down those guys for a spot move, for a one-off game or something like that, I trust a Reggie Cannon. I wouldn't go the DeAndre Yedlin route because that's the other name that when you're talking about taking an experienced right back, there's only two guys. It's DeAndre Yedlin or it's Reggie Cannon, if experience is what you want to go with.
All right, look, I respect Reggie Cannon. He's been an okay player. He's defensively very sound, but that does not move me at all. And
none of it moves me, but what's your other option? Who else are you taking as a second right back?
I still think Brian Reynolds is probably the choice.
So you're going to take two guys with a combined 6 caps?
Yeah, why not? It's a Copa America tournament 2 years ahead of a World Cup. When you really want to make your why not get those guys into the team, give them that.
Isn't Brian Reynolds
experience.
Olympic eligible? Maybe
yes.
not. Is he?
Fine. He doesn't go to the Olympics. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's a sorry, Brian. Hey, would you rather go to Copa America or the Olympics? And yes, would it be beneficial to Brian Reynolds to go play in the Olympic tournament? Absolutely. It probably would. Although we don't know if he would be released because he's not an MLS-based player and they don't have to release these guys and all that stuff. I think you know, there's also that thing, like you already mentioned it. You may find yourself asking Tim Weah to play right back. You may ask,
and that's okay, but you don't have to take a spot on the roster for that. You know, but that spot's already on the roster. I'm just talking about you're going to take two right backs.
So you take one right back because you also have Tim Weah who can possibly play there, and you've slid out Weston McKennie. And
I think you take two. I think
Tyler
you take two.
Adams has played there like 3 times.
I think either way you take 2 right backs. You may end up using 0 of them. You might end up using 0 of them. And
but
if you're
going to end up using 0 of them, why does it matter about experience and all this nonsense? Reggie Cannon hasn't seen the national team in how long?
Why would year and a half, 2 years?
Oh, it's been longer than that, I bet. Since Reggie Cannon appeared on the field for the U.S. men's national team? Okay. Look, Joe Scally is the best option. It's not a great one based on what we've seen at times. I think it's a system issue, not a quality issue if you want to drive a wedge between those two things. Right? Joe Scally is not asked at Gladbach to fly it up and down the field the way that Sergino Dest does. And I don't think that I think maybe fine in possession, not great in possession, that kind of thing.
So if you were making the roster, Jason Davis's roster, are you taking 1 right back or are you taking 2? Save that spot for upfield and supplement it with Joe Scally with someone else if necessary?
I mean, I really don't know. I mean, so I would probably say bring an out-and-out right back, Joe Scally.
The unfortunate thing is we don't have one of those center backs that really can slide out to right back either. You know, there's a lot of those hybrid center backs like Sergio Ramos
that's Reggie
or something
Cannon
like
these
that.
days because he plays in a back 3.
Yeah, so it's just like, but with our core 4, so that we'd be
Chris
expecting
Richards
to take.
Has played all over the park.
True.
For Palace.
True.
So,
play midfield, you can play right back, right?
I mean, yeah, you're not super comfortable with it. I wouldn't imagine.
Would you sacrifice Tyler Adams to right back?
Would I No, not at all. No, and that's even saying that you have some, if everybody's healthy, that you have several midfield options, right? Where's Luka?
If I ask you to rank something, is that a pick your poison?
I mean, I think anytime we have the opportunity to play the drop, why wouldn't we play the drop?
Rank these 3 players. I'm not saying just rank these 3 players.
Are you getting very close to doing something? Okay, never mind. I don't want you to get shot. Okay,
what?
Go ahead.
West Side or something? Rank these 3 players.
Actually, you are West Side, right? You should.
In terms of who you would most likely play at right back. Weston McKennie, Tim Weah, Tyler Adams. What's your right back depth power rankings of those 3 players?
So the issue here is not really one of who's the best fit. It's more of how do you cover for the position
the absence
vacates
elsewhere.
Wow. It probably is right now, and I really. It's probably. Honestly, it's probably Weston, Tyler, Tim. Even though I think Tim's the best option there.
I agree with you because I think Tim Weah is the best right back option of the 3. But in terms of the likelihood I would actually put him there, there's so much midfield depth right now with the Musas and the De La Torres, the Gio Reynas, the Malik Tillman, the Johnny Cardosos, like the midfield depth. And this is one of the reasons why maybe you only do take one right back in Joe Scally and you bring another guy in that position, is that Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie can be supplemented a lot easier than a Tim Weah up top. What we talk about all the time, Tim Weah is the only forward that gives you the verticality that Berhalter talks about is so important to him. I do think you could supplement it with a Haji Wright or a Josh Sargent on the right side, or even Alex Zendejas to have a completely different look. But all of those, I think, force you to change a lot more of the dynamic and game plan of how this team is supposed to play than just simply putting in Yunus Musa or Luca Della Torre or Johnny Cardoso in the midfield. I think you still run Berhalter's game plan the same with those players.
Right. Yeah, I think that's probably right. I mean, again, we're also, it gets very expansive if you're like, well, change the system completely to cover for this loss of position because we don't like the way the Berhalter plays or something, which I get it. You can go down that road if you want. I think the most practical way to look at this is, how does Berhalter play? Who's the best fit? What kind of hole does that leave anywhere else on the field, and how do you plug it? And you have to do it.
It's going to be really interesting to see as we get these first international games leading up to Copa America, and we start getting a view of how Greg Berhalter sees it. And I don't believe he's come out and made any statement on the injury at all, or taken any press conference or any media on it, right?
I mean, he's either not in camp, there's nothing going on, and U.S. Soccer would have to be just like, hey, Greg, do you want to do a press conference for something just to do it? To take some questions. I mean, I guess that's possible, but that's not what's happening. I mean, you did mention it, right? Josh Sargent, ideally playing through the center, but there's also a logjam there. So if you have that spot open, Haji Wright can slip out, right? Haji Wright doesn't play center forward for Coventry City, and he's doing an effective job in a different kind of role.
Also has the ability to give you verticality. He's got a lot of pace. I don't think quite the same way Tim Weah does, but Haji Wright's got pace.
Yeah. And look, I know everybody's down on Brendan, but he's still there. He's still a possibility. He still has...
As a utility option, though, I really feel like that's his role in this team now. It's not a starter. He doesn't do one thing better than anyone else. I think he is just a fantastic late game sub when you need to add industry into the field.
I agree with that. That's the ideal position. But again,
that's unfortunately where he's pigeonholed to now.
We're talking about a situation where your best options,
and not an automatic call up either.
Yeah, no. At this point, no. Brendan Aronson is not. He wasn't in the team for Nations League until the injury situation happened.
Yep.
So there's that. All right. So obviously this is the question facing Greg Berhalter, and knock on wood, that nothing else happens between now and the end of the season before we get to Copa America, which probably I've guaranteed that it's. Don't blame me. I'm not the one in charge of soccer injuries.
What have you guaranteed?
I'm hopefully I'm not accidentally guaranteeing somebody else gets injured. I'm not. I don't have.
Where did that come from? Who said you said that?
I get very I'm super.
You literally knocked on wood.
I did knock on wood. Do that again. All right. So, Weston McKennie, healthy, had a very, very good season with Juventus, still having a good season with Juventus, not where they want to be. They did reach the Coppa Italia, thanks to a Tim Weah assist that helped put them through. Great moment for him.
Or shot that just happened to go to the right spot?
Sure. Let's call it that. Let's call it a shrasist. I don't know how to do that. That's terrible.
A sot?
A shrasist. It's a shrasist.
Like a shart assist?
Oh no, it's not a shard.
Oh.
You can't possibly say that.
Damn, dog, that's inappropriate.
Weston McKennie doesn't have a contract after the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been talking to Juventus, or his agent has, and they have not agreed. Now, look, my understanding is Juve's like, hey, take the same money we were paying you. And Weston's like, bro.
You didn't, in preseason, you didn't want me.
You see what I just did for you? You see what I just did?
Let's not forget that. I don't know if people remember this. He was not coming to the U.S. tour at one point.
That's right.
Coming back from Leeds. Like, that's where he was at the beginning of the season. Dude shredded weight. Like, he just chewed on downlators and spit for 3 days, cut weight, and then all of a sudden shows up and is a boss out there.
You can't imagine how just cutting out ranch, how much that will do for you, body image-wise, body situation.
Speaking from experience?
Just cut out the ranch, people, and you'll be fine. Like that.
No more Dr. Peppers for me.
No. I don't think he's intermittent fasting. That's my move these
So
days.
the rumors are that Juventus cut him a contract for the same amount of money and said, "Hey, here's the same deal. We're good, right?" And Weston's like, "Nope." But what scares me is that the rumors are out there, and there's just a couple places reporting this, mainly like places that accounts to follow Juventus, is that Saudi Arabia's in the mix,
Well,
MLS is in the mix.
Let me just clarify. By the way, I think a little premature. He has a contract for next season. He doesn't have a contract after that, right? So this is extend me, give me a new deal, give me more money. Juventus is like, no, take the same money. And if they don't come to a deal, there may be a sale coming because you don't want to lose him for free next year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest issue.
And supposedly Saudi Arabia, MLS, and Bundesliga is what's been talked about so far.
He's not going to Major League Soccer. That is not going to happen. He
I
could
can't
go back
see
to
him
the Bundesliga.
I don't think he's going to Saudi Arabia.
I don't think he's going to Saudi Arabia. How about this one? Jared? Manchester United could be in for Weston McKennie as they plan an overhaul
I don't
under
want
Jim
an American
Ratcliffe.
anywhere near that club at ownership or otherwise. Like that club is just cursed right now. Why would you want to? That's like going to Chelsea last year. I just don't know why anyone.
It's a little bit like that.
Why does anyone go to a club that's just obviously in disarray?
But man, doesn't he walk into that team? Like, doesn't he walk into that Manchester United team right now?
There's been plenty. Like I said, there's been plenty of good players that have come into that team. They just become shit when they get there.
Well,
that's why I equate it to Chelsea.
But that's why it's okay maybe for him to end up there. Look, I get what you're saying. Like, it's a mess, and I'm not saying I love the idea over some other options, including staying at Juventus. But it's still Manchester United, right? It's still, if not the biggest club in the world, in the top 5. Like, I don't care.
Yeah,
what
but he won't
be
he won't be playing Europe next season if he goes there.
He could be in the Conference League. You don't know. He could be playing Conference.
Well, he won't be
football.
playing Europe probably if he stays in the
Juventus.
either.
Juventus didn't play European football because they got in trouble. So what?
Yeah.
Pick your poison on that.
I'm just saying, like if he has his stock has never been higher than it is right now. I would like to see him improve his situation to a team that has European competition guaranteed. I think that's a reasonable expectation for a move that Weston McKennie would make, assuming he doesn't stay at Juventus. If he stays at Juventus, that's probably the best scenario for more money. Stay where you a team that believes in you. But Pioli is probably not going to be there next year. So
right.
I don't know if it's a good thing for him to stay or not.
Well, you mean Allegri, but still.
Allegri, I'm sorry. I was
it's okay.
AC Milan. I apologize.
Yeah, that is an issue. Rebuilding under, but he'd have to. He's either having to rebuild under or build up his place in a team under a new manager by making a move, or building a place under a new manager at Juve because Allegri is probably out the door.
And Weston McKennie has a track record of winning over coaches. He does. He did it with Pirlo. He did it with Allegri. Like he's done that before, but he's a lot to take. I think there's an initial shock value when coaches meet Weston McKennie. Like the locker room, the clown kind of aspect of it. I think he has to win guys. Oh, he's not the normal European professional that's in there.
He's got the big American personality, and I think it turns
media
some
teams
people
love
off.
it.
What'd you say?
Media teams love him.
Oh yeah, media teams love him. He also seems to do okay.
Something else. You know what else seems to love him? You know what else seems to love him? Italian models of Serie A brothers and sisters,
siblings of Serie A players. Italian models. What's her name? Did you catch her name?
I had it. I didn't write it down. I think it starts with an F. I apologize. But her brother plays for Inter Milan. So it's rumors out of Italy. Oh, go ahead.
It is Chiara Fratesi, and David Fratesi plays for Inter, and Chiara is a model, or at least that's what her social media would lead me to believe.
Also, supposedly wants to be a journalist as well.
Oh, okay, sure.
But right now, model.
Right now, a model. And again,
so this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I've wanted this kind of American soccer player for a long time, where there's rumors of. There's even like a little bit of online social media sleuthing that went into this because
can you tell that part of this?
Sure. So the whole reason that people know that this is happening at all, if you didn't read, I posted a link on my Twitter. You can catch it there. Like I'm sure you can find other places at this point, but So Weston posts a picture of a Lego Eiffel Tower that he's made, as a player does,
As you do, as you do.
He posts a model of a picture of this Eiffel Tower, and then on this Kiara, is that her name?
Kiara, yes.
Kiara. She also, within a few hours or the next day, also posts a similar Eiffel Tower from another angle. It appears in a picture she posts as well, and people are like, that looks familiar.
More than one person can more than one person have a Lego Eiffel
So,
Tower in a given moment? That
like,
happened
well,
to
why were
share
these
a
two in the
region?
same room on a random weeknight or
Oh.
weekend?
Uh-huh.
Then it comes out that Weston McKennie may be dating this Italian model, and I don't know about you, but what I hear is the couples that Lego together stay together.
Oh, that's okay. I've never heard that. That
No,
seems very.
what that
very
means
odd
is that they
me.
like to lock their pieces into each other.
Okay, so now we're going to go down some dangerous. We'll get there in a second. But there's other sleuthing involved in this. It's not just the Lego Tower, which I do think is pretty hard evidence compared to this one. This is a little less firm, but apparently,
My man's got issues.
she also posted pictures with dogs who bear a striking resemblance to Weston McKennie's dogs. So,
So even their doggy styles match up.
that apparently they both enjoy. Yeah, they both enjoy that as well. Now, this is why you need to be a bestie and sign up for the Patreon and get into the Slack.
Because that's what led to this, right? Wasn't it this?
It
that
was
somehow
this.
led.
Well, first of all, okay, we are not exactly, we're not always R-rated. We make some illusions. We have some fun. Do people know what an Eiffel Tower is? That
So
was part
I
of the
did not.
discussion.
I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I did not know. Supposedly, an Eiffel Tower is a sex position
Well, it's
or a move or a
sure.
like you can
Sure.
find it like on probably like
I don't know. Cover
someone had it on
earmuffs-
WebMD.
Hold on.
WebMD had it.
Earmuffs for anybody who is sensitive to this stuff. I guess.
Earmuffs for the rest of the show.
It's like a train, right? Just if you've ever heard
Yes,
the
but
term,
the edges,
Yes.
the edges like lean
Yes.
forward and like and so
Yes.
it makes like an A-frame.
that
And then
is-
supposedly there's also supposed to be a person laying down at the bottom of all this to make the foundation.
I think you're misunderstanding something.
I don't think so. I heard that there was also like a fourth person that could be involved as the foundation at the base. They're just hanging
Okay,
out.
well-
That person's just there to view it
all
all
I
from
know
an
for
angle.
sure is that neither you and I will be attempting any Eiffel Towers. I'm almost I can be pretty sure. Okay, yeah. Morgan is shocked that you don't know what an Eiffel Tower is, and she's
Listen, I've been out of the game for a while. Like I'm.
Oh
like,
yeah, you and I are way behind the curve on.
There's
on
all
this.
sorts of stuff. I got out before a lot of that stuff the kids do these days that I'm not going to be partaking in. But like, there's back in my day, it was like I don't know. I probably shouldn't even mention some of the things from back in my day. But let's just say your boy hasn't been single in a long time, and me and the wife, we know what we like, and we stick to it.
Oh, okay. I'm saying okay. So you have a routine. You are a routine.
Oh,
couple.
from Aaron in the chat says Eiffel Tower was in one of those bad 90s, 2000s college movies. I didn't know
which one
that.
of those?
Probably
Which
like
one?
Euro Trip makes sense because Eiffel Tower,
that sounds
Euro
about
Trip.
right. That sounds right. Could have. I was gonna say American Pie, but it's probably not in American Pie. I don't think.
No, I think I remember if it was in that. But what this led to in the Slack was okay. Well, if that's an Eiffel Tower, why aren't there any soccer sex positions? And we're like, well, what would be like if everyone started bringing their best creative selves? This was like Twitter 2015, like 2015, 2014.
This exactly what Twitter was.
Here's the difference between Twitter and X. X is talking about how Greg Berhalter needs to be fired and put into a funeral pyre of some kind.
A pume? A what?
Plume of and Twitter back in the day would be talking about what are soccer sex positions. So
yeah, I wonder if this
brought
would have caught on. I wonder how much it would have caught on if we had come up on old school soccer Twitter. But there, it does.
We
feel
want to go
like
through
that
some of
kind
these.
thing.
Everybody
Okay.
contributed some.
I guess we're gonna have to give some credit where it's due here. So
yeah, make sure
actually,
you shout out the besties that brought.
and
these
by the way,
ones up.
Connor in the Slack actually said we should do a bonus show, sex position starting 11. Which, by the way, we might be stretching my knowledge to get to 11. So I mean,
I think
I
he
probably
bet,
could.
Oh wait. I thought you meant the soccer sex. He just means any Kama Sutra level like thing
Yeah,
out there.
he just means any actual
Missionary.
position. Yeah, where is missionary? You're starting number 9.
That's the
or your
goalie. That's the
your
goalie. It's the
goalkeeper?
dependable.
Okay. You need something dependable, something
Yeah.
you can always fall back on.
You
Last
can
line
always
of
get down to the
defense.
ground quickly, you know?
That's right.
Laying
All right.
out.
So, I mean, you have to use your imagination. I don't think we went as far as to kind of imagine specifically what these would be, but
And I'll also say, if as we go through these, if there's ones we missed, put them in the comments down below. Let me know. Let us know yours.
I know. The brilliance of this is that you can just say, like, the offside position. Jared threw out the offside position. Back post run. Now, back post run.
That was
I think
mine.
we all know where that's going.
That was mine.
I think that a false. I'm saying a false 9. Now, you were specific. I'm not going to read that.
I
out.
actually defined this one. I'll say it. I don't care. So a false 9, I defined this in the Slack. A false 9 is 3 different dudes, all with 3 inches each.
Okay. To me, that is.
It's a false 9.
Jay Rodius.
I also have a definition for the
would-
other one I put in there. I didn't put it in the Slack.
I would
though.
think false 9 would be more of a sex toy situation. But
No,
that is just
3 dudes,
okay.
3 inches. Okay, so the other one I put in there, I wanted to find this before we get to other people's stuff. Second to last defender. The second to last defender is when your your girl is on birth control, but still makes you wear a condom.
Okay. All right, I suppose. I mean, Freddie threw out park the bus. Let me.
That happens in my house once a month for a week.
But that's not a position. That's
Oh,
a
you're right.
ban on activity. That's like a full on,
Yeah.
blocks of 4 just trying to keep you out. But I'm saying,
Are we going to try to figure out what these things mean? Or are we just going to go through them? Or are we going to actually delve
I don't
into
know.
the
Is there
dirtiness here?
an anatomical element to park the bus? Like that also feels like a back post run kind of vibe to me. as
Parking the
well.
bus is what a dude with a really big one does.
Parking the bus is a no movement situation.
Oh,
Just-
like soaking, like Mormons do.
There you go. That's what Mormons do.
You
I
never
have
heard
no
of
idea.
soaking?
No, I have no idea what soaking. Somebody mentioned it
We
in
have
this-
never talked
I don't
about
know.
soaking on
I
this
don't know
show.
what soaking
Okay,
is.
this
I don't know
is
that.
going off the rails. Okay, hide your children, people. All right. First
Yeah,
of all,
like-
soaking is something as big at the BYU campus. And my apologies. Is
Do
it
you know
Connor
this
in the
for a
chat?
fact, or is
it
this
Connor?
all?
Who's we have a few.
Do we have a Latter-day Saint in the?
Oh, we have
in
a
the
couple.
chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's when you and your girl you
You
enter.
dock. You dock.
You dock. But here's the other thing about soaking. Usually, a lot of times you have a friend that jumps on the bed, so you're not
What?
actually
No, that's
doing
not a
anything.
thing. That's
Like
not real.
you dock.
That's
and
not real.
then another dude jumps on the bed, and you're
That's
not
not
really
real.
doing anything,
The-
but there's movement, and you didn't make it happen.
Okay. Connor is saying this is not a thing.
No,
And
Connor, I don't believe you.
There's no way this is a thing. Okay, no way. This is like when
Okay, I don't
everybody
mean
was
to
telling
disparage an
me.
entire religion, but
This is like when everybody was telling me that kids were bonging alcohol through an orifice you should not put alcohol into.
I'm just letting you know. I don't know. I shouldn't throw my family under the bus. Never mind.
You good LDS fam, and they've been telling you about this?
No firsthand accounts. No
Okay.
firsthand accounts.
Okay, so this is all secondhand information. Okay.
No, sir. No firsthand accounts. Okay. Anyway, back to the soccer ones.
Okay, and look, now we got technically we're going to split this up. That's called jump humping, which that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Either way, either one of these two, I'm guaranteeing you, Utah brought that to us.
Parking the bus absolutely sounds like whatever
Yeah.
that is. That's probably not a real thing. All right. And I mean, by the way, there are people who do all these things, but
Yes.
whether or not they're prevalent is a
for
secondary
sure.
question. All right. I threw out inverted winger. Now I didn't really have a plan for that. It's almost. I
it's
think
kinda like a 69.
69. Yeah, probably
Yeah.
a 69 situation
Yeah.
if you do an inverted winger. Let's see. Freddie also threw in a flat back 4. It kind of feels. What is a flat
That's
back?
when you have sex with a girl with like really small breasts.
Well, okay, the flat part just feeds into that. I understand what you're saying there. 5 in the back. 5 in the back. That's extra. No. Yeah.
That's a fist.
Studs up. Now again, I'm coming back to toys because Phil and Mike did. Our boy Mike and Philly threw out studs up. By the way, I don't think anybody actually gave me permission to say these on
Connor
the
chat said inverted winger is one leg up, one leg down.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Clayton Clayton said red card. Okay, Clayton. We all know where that one's going.
We'll leave that one alone.
I think that one's pretty obvious. A soft penalty. That's another one they get. A soft penalty. Yeah, you do the soft penalty.
If you have too many whiskeys, you get the soft penalty.
If you get the soft penalty, but then once you get there, you hope that the decision firms up. You know what I'm saying? Like it might be a soft penalty, but you're hoping on review. Yeah, that you're gonna find yourself like
give me a few minutes to
firm.
review that again.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Handball, that was also from Clayton.
Jason just got here and can't believe we're relieving this from the Slack, but
why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we relieve? This is the best of the Slack. This is all time.
How about this one from Utch Unit? It says "Get Stuck In."
I mean, that's
Isn't there a whole porn category now called that?
Get Stuck In is like that's the quickie. That's you don't got no time for nothing else. You're just going boom, straight to it, straight to action.
Verticality.
I think. I said short corner. I don't think I worked that one out either. It's a short corner.
Like you and like a I want to say like I'm gonna use an inappropriate term that's not proper in the 21st century. I guess. Never mind. A little person. You and a little person.
See, here's the thing. All these have to apply to all kinds of people. You can't change the identity of the people involved to make it work.
Why not?
Because then it's not universal. Then it's just some weird thing that that like only a certain segment of the population can do.
You got to find yourself a small person.
All right.
That's why it's probably a next level movement.
I guess that's the thing. I feel like we've avoided. We've talked a lot about the intercourse. We haven't gotten to other. I guess the inverted winger 69.
Idea, 5 in the back sounded like something else to me.
But I'm saying, yeah, I'm saying the other. This is so funny to try to talk around it without actually. Yeah.
What about like the magic sponge?
Oh man, magic spray, magic sponge.
Oh, magic spray.
Are we gonna get in trouble for that one?
Well, who's gonna get us in trouble? It's cutting my check.
I mean, yeah. I guess it just depends on where you need to apply magic spray, right?
Yeah,
that's all it's all about.
See, everyone from the Slack coming in here now. I can't believe we're reliving this now, but it was it was my favorite days on Twitter. On it was pretty Slack.
Good. On the Slack, yeah. I think
any mores of note?
Man on. Connor threw that one out. Oh. Kyle got a laugh for the scissor kick.
Connor wants the JTT to call in and give us a couple.
Oh, that's okay.
What are JTT's got in me for us?
It's JTT!
They're all going to be like Philly related.
Fox in the box, box to box. Jonathan with those
box to box, like scissoring.
We already had the scissor kick, so I guess you could do both of them. You could maybe there are variations therein. Right, I don't know how deep you want to go with that.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, if you want to be part of conversations like that, you got to join the Besties Patreon, patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. Yeah, of course Morgan's got to throw in like a Philly flavor to it. Dupe in the old onion bag. Okay, let's do that.
That's the one she made that one.
Yeah. So real quick before we get out of here, we got to keep this one fairly short. Major League Soccer, Jared. Any thoughts on the current state? I mean, the big thing right now is that Columbus beat Monterrey last night in Columbus in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. They got a lead. I'm not saying I'm like, they're definitely going to do this. But listen,
impressive result. Monterrey, I think hadn't lost in 5 years in this competition.
Yes.
Last time. I mean, they've been the premiered club in CONCACAF for quite some time right now. So a great result for Columbus. Now, the old adage is that the American teams can't go to Mexico and do it though. So Columbus has an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, but if they go down to Mexico and they get the 1-1 like they did against Tigres, they win the tie, they move on. They don't need extra time and penalty kicks. So they've set themselves up for that.
But is that Columbus's style though? Columbus is built to run and to counter. I guess maybe the counter is good with that.
But again, they did that.
Schulte's going to have a big game, man. Schulte's going to have a big game for that.
Against Tigres. So I'm not saying that it's like a lock or anything. I think that's crazy. And our Columbus fan, Jason Hoover, is saying, we need a result, but we drew Tigres, and it can be done. And I agree. Yeah. I think it can be done. And Wilfred Nancy is the man. He's the man. I mean, If I was, starting a club or I had a bunch of money thrown at him, I'd
If
do it.
Berhalter was released right now, how far up on your list would Wilfred Nancy be?
Oh, that's a good question. Man, in the international game though, it's the same issue that Greg has. The way he wants to play is just a little too much. Now, if you could just port that over, yeah, I'd take Wilfred Nancy. He'd be pretty.
Would you want to see what he could do with some of the options that are on the U.S. men's national team?
Yeah, but I don't know that what Nancy tries to do is all that much different than what Berhalter tries to do.
Well, at least he won with Columbus.
That's fair. Berhalter went to a final and lost. That's a good point. He's beaten.
I don't know. Wilfred Nancy just somehow fills me with optimism of you get the feeling that he plays a style that you wish your team could play. And as someone in LA right now, I loved, even going back to last season, what Greg Vanney was trying to build with the offensive style of this team. There's times where it just bores you with possession, but the style of possession is really impressive. The defense is horrible. But what Greg Vanney and what Wilfred Nancy are doing in MLS right now, I would like to see what that would look like at the national team level, offensively.
I would give him a shot. The other question I have for you is over/under on Wilfred Nancy seasons in Columbus before he ends up getting a job in France or somewhere like that. I know he doesn't have a playing career.
I mean, obviously he doesn't have that pedigree from the playing career, but I think there is probably a natural hop at some point over to that level. So, but real quick, while we're talking about this, I pick your poison for you. I got.
Oh, okay. 2. Pick your poisons.
Don't know if you saw the rumors out there, but the rumors are that Canada has approached Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for potential spot. If you had to choose for the U.S. men's national team, would you rather have Wilfred Nancy or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
I think I would rather have Wilfred Nancy.
Is that the comfort with the American game and the American players?
Yeah,
that what does it?
There's that, and he's won a thing. I know he's a championship level coach, even if that's
supposedly
MLS.
Canada also going after Jesse Marsch.
Canada apparently has kicked the tires on Jesse Marsch, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Frank Lampard. Who else am I missing?
Yeah, here's a question I ask for all of them: who's going to pay him?
Yeah, I don't think they have the cash.
I have less faith in the Canadian national program than I do about Argentinian clubs paying players. It's pretty bad.
They could probably scrape up something, but it's not going to be enough to attract most of those guys. I can't see Jesse doing it, and it's not really turn your back on America,
it's a guaranteed
Jesse.
World Cup job, though. That's one of the allures to it, even though it is Canada, and there is going to be some prestige.
But you don't get qualifying. Their whole situation is just...
we get the World Cup without having to go through qualifying. That's amazing. That's a great job.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is that there's no games to get you ready, no real meaningful games, and so you kind of dropped in at the World Cup level and then expected to turn those guys into something that, I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
So before we get out of here, let's real quick hit the Indy 11 stuff.
Okay.
That being out there, you want to catch people up on what that story is?
Well, as far as I know, what's happened is that the mayor of Indianapolis said he was going to go to New York and talk to Major League Soccer and Don Garber. Don Garber put out a statement, or Major League Soccer put out a statement that said, yep, we talked to him. And right now there's no real clear idea of that, whether that means a whole lot. But of course, this is, sounding alarm bells in certain quarters because Indianapolis has a team called Indy 11. They play in the USL Championship. They even have an owner, I think his name is Ozdemir, right, who wants to build a stadium downtown, a stadium appropriate for the USL Championship because they didn't have a way into Major League Soccer. I don't think that dude has the cash to go MLS. So either he's taking on, he'd have to take on partners in order to be the owner, or Indy 11 just gets swallowed up, a la St. Louis FC or whatever that was called at the time.
Do you believe that Don Garber cockblocked the situation?
San Diego Loyal. Go ahead. What? Sorry. What?
So I think there's a delay between us right now. I'm not sure why that is. I said, do you believe that Don Garber truly cockblocked the situation for Indy 11?
I don't know. Are you saying...
There's rumors that he went to Indy and met with the mayor, and then after that, the mayor changed his mind and pulled the stadium deal out of Indy 11.
Oh, is that what the scuttle is? Okay,
yep.
So that's a little bit deeper than I've heard. There's a lot of things here. Okay, if we want to have sort of a free market situation and may the best product win, you can't tell You can't tell Major League Soccer not to expand into a place like Indianapolis if people in Indianapolis want Major League Soccer to be there, right? It's the same situation in St. Louis and San
This
Diego.
is tough because if you think about how MLS teams have succeeded in mainly MLS 2.0, but sometimes now in MLS 3.0 as well, is that grassroots culture that you grab from the local community. When you think about the Seattles and the Portlands, which are already existed, or even when you go to Atlanta and stuff like that, how can you build from that base if you are going to shart all over Indy 11 for the fans that are already there?
Look, I'm too cynical for this discussion because I get the romance of it, right? I do. I understand that there's some, we started this club and we entered in the lower divisions. And
it had a stadium, man.
I understand that, but can you blame the mayor of Indianapolis, who wants his city to be thought of as a major league city? And yeah, they got a football team and a basketball team. I get it. But do you think that he's wrong for saying, no, we want the biggest show in town? We don't want
maybe not, but sometimes you also have to what do you stand for? If this is, what does your word mean and your word to the city and your constituents mean? If you're just going to reverse on deals and stuff like this, I think this has potential to be the worst entry into MLS since Austin and Columbus.
But the mayor of Indianapolis, who I don't know from a goddamn hole in the wall, his responsibility is to the city of Indianapolis, right? You think he's getting a handout? Well, that's corruption. That's a whole different bag of worms. But if he's not getting a handout, if this is not corruption, then he's doing what he thinks is right for the city of Indianapolis. Unfortunately, if Indy 11 can't compete with an MLS team coming to town, what do you want me to say? Like, we don't have Pro Rel. I wish we did. That would be great. Then Indy 11 could come in with their own stadium and get promoted. But that's not the way this works. Like, unless you undo the system and change it all overnight, which is not happening.
So as long as ground hasn't broken, there's no foul here.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, what
or stand by your stadium deal with Indy 11 and say, hey, we're still going to be MLS here, and then we can find private.
Hold on, let me unwind this back to the idea of a city. What's the city role in this deal? Because I don't know that, and maybe that's what I need to know. Like, is it just that they're putting infrastructure in and building roads and doing the utilities, or are they paying something for the stadium? Is some of the money
on it? But supposedly, right. I believe there was Indy money in this. They said municipal money in this 20,000 seat stadium for a non-MLS team. That's pretty damn good. That would probably be maybe the best stadium in the non-top tier in the U.S.
Right. I don't know enough about what was said. Now, I guess everybody's painting this as Garber snaked USL, right? Garber
snaked Peter Wilt.
Kept the market open for MLS by telling the mayor, we might come there, don't give this stadium deal to the USL championship.
Is Peter Wilt still with Indy 11?
No, he hasn't been there for a long time. This is, it is interesting. It's a Peter Wilt team, but obviously the biggest issue at hand here is that everybody is operating for their own self-interest, right? And it's hard for me to blame somebody in an environment that is based on competition. Again, free market. The free market doesn't say, oh, you're not supposed to stop your competitor from doing a thing. If Major League Soccer thinks it's better, I'm not saying this is good, okay? I'm not. I want it to be different. But Major League Soccer is in competition with other soccer products in this country because we don't have a system.
It truly isn't, though, because if you can't talk about free market and MLS in the same context, if you're going to have a closed system. They have a closed system.
No, but
it's not a free market if they're going to have promotion relegation.
But that's not how free market works. If MLS is one business, hey, this is one business MLS. If it was Wendy's, who has locations across the country, against McDonald's, who has locations across the country, no one would say, oh, it's wrong for McDonald's to come in and keep Wendy's from building a new store right next door or in a market that they want. Everybody see that.
But Wendy's and McDonald's are allowed to fail. The MLS teams aren't allowed to fail. They always get propped up. There is no failure.
You're talking about
in
the competition. The competition is not the issue. The business
but competition fuels the financial side as well. If they didn't have the Apple money because they got relegated, then that's a financial thing that's based on the competition.
Again, Major League Soccer is one business entity. So none of this applies. If MLS was made up of 29 separate businesses, 30 separate businesses, then maybe we could.
I like this from Morgan as well. Why does MLS need more than 30 teams, though? It's too much.
They probably don't, and I agree with you, Morgan. Again, I just don't know what people want from the system or from people operating within a bad system. right? You want people to do the right thing because it's the right thing, but that's not how anybody who operates in
think,
business
I
thinks.
think one of the things people may want is they want MLS to succeed, but not at the expense of homegrown good soccer stories, which is what Indy 11 is.
Again, I'm with you on that.
There's other markets that they could go after, that don't have the I don't know.
I agree. Look,
it's just tough when the big tent comes to town.
I agree with you. I do. I agree with you. We have incentivized. You could. It's a lovely idea. It's not the real world. We have incentivized leagues, competitions, all these people because we centered these leagues because we couldn't keep Cubs going. They all died 80, 90, 100 years ago. And then we tried again, and they all died again. And we tried again, and we're like, okay, well, we better center the league here and not the clubs, because if we let it run on the clubs, it'll die again. So we centered the league, and now the leagues are in competition. And the USL Championship, or the USL, rather, as a whole, is not innocent in any of this. Right? Just because they're the ones being victimized by big bad MLS right now doesn't mean the USL hasn't gone out and snaked other markets from other leagues or other pro teams or other teams that already exist, pro or otherwise. Because what they see is growth is important. We need to grow. There's a market for us. We're taking that market.
I think the other end of this, though, too, is that MLS already has so much bad blood this year with that same community and not participating in the US Open Cup. So it's like MLS is starting to become the anti grassroots organization for soccer in the US. They
MLS has always been that. Always from the very beginning.
Dude. I don't know, man.
They were rinky-dink and minor league and cheap because they had to be. Not because they wanted to be. As soon as MLS was able to get some success and some momentum behind them and build some stadiums and get some money in and sign Lionel Messi, they're going to act like every other league. La Liga is going to take competitive matches, league matches, and put them in the United States in 2 years.
Stupid, yeah.
They're going to do that. You know why they're doing it? Because they have to make the money to keep up with everybody else, because they're in competition with the Premier League and the Bundesliga and Serie A for all the dollars.
Which is why they also want the Super League, yeah.
And the Super League probably will happen because of the same reasons, because all these clubs look up and go, oh, we're going to get left behind. We won't be able to sign the best players. We're not going to do X, Y, or Z. And, the world isn't this, oh, we just play each other to see who's better. It's so great that we just testing ourselves against one another. That's not how this is. It's big business. And I don't like it. I don't like that San Diego Loyal died. I don't like it that St. Louis FC died. I don't like it that Indy 11 is being threatened, or their plan is being threatened, because MLS is fainting in the direction of Indianapolis. I don't like that. Sucks.
Yeah.
But that's the way we've set this up. And the alternatives are lawsuits, which we already have, more lawsuits, lots more lawsuits. If who in this situation could change the complexion? Because you can't ask U.S. Soccer to tell MLS you can't expand in Indianapolis. There's already a team there. Because what MLS will say is that's a restraint of trade. I'm suing you. You're done. You can't.
U.S. Soccer could strip MLS of its Division 1
and then get sued into oblivion, which they've already been sued a lot.
I think U.S. Soccer has a case, though. They're not participating in U.S. Open Cup. They're doing things that are like anti.
Okay, but now we're talking about where the authority with U.S. Soccer actually lies.
FIFA could mandate that promotion relegation is a mandatory thing in all leagues that get their accreditation.
They cannot do that.
Because
they cannot do that in the United States because of antitrust law. And they pulled out. They got left out of the relevant lawsuit that just went down that allows La Liga to play games in the United States if they so choose. The Supreme Court basically saying, we're not going to stop this lawsuit that Relevant has filed against U.S. Soccer and FIFA. The agreement was FIFA would get dropped out of that lawsuit so that these games can happen, because FIFA knows that if FIFA messes around with American antitrust law, they'll get sued and they'll lose, because the law says that you can't stop somebody else from competing in the same arena you compete in just because we're the international organization because we say so. We're U.S. Soccer and we control everything because we say so. Right? Lots of people have tested that and are going to continue to test that. And if you say, well, you can't expand to this market or that market because there's already another team from another league that's not your business, that's flat out restraint of trade. Like, if you prevent me from competing fairly, I can sue you. And we kind of want that as Americans, right? The hard thing for soccer fans is
you want it to be challenged because you don't want the man to win, and you want it to be challenged. But you got to be careful what you ask for, because if it's challenged and it goes away, then you don't have a top tier league anyway.
Now, if at some point, and remember, Major League Soccer got sued by the players, Fraser versus MLS, over the original single entity plan, right? That was an antitrust lawsuit. They're basically saying there was no competition for salaries. That's not fair to us. And they lost, right? The players lost. The league won, saying they can operate as one single business, even if they have teams all over the country, right? But if somebody wants to sue MLS for restraint of trade, which they are party to the Rocco Commisso NASL lawsuit. They're basically Rocco saying MLS colluded with U.S. Soccer to prevent NASL from competing fairly. But again, that's the different angle. And MLS could be sued under some. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have the lawsuit written up, but they could be sued if they are guilty of doing something that is outside the law. And maybe what Don Garber did with the mayor of Indianapolis falls under that heading. I don't know. Who's party to that lawsuit? Ozdemir is going to have to file that lawsuit, I guess, if he thinks his deal got ruined. Who's going to
find out how much money Don Garber gave the mayor of Indianapolis?
Okay, I'm not making those allegations.
I'm not making either. I'm saying who's going to find out. Okay. Sounds like a job for one man, the goalkeeper.
Oh, wow, that guy. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure what he's up to. What is that guy up to? It's been a while.
Pulitzer.
I actually thought you were going to say that it was
the Sausage King of Chicago.
The Sausage King of Chicago. All right. I got to get out of here. We got to wrap this thing up. Anything else, Mr. Dubois? Any other business?
That's it, guys. Like I said, if you want more sexual innuendo as soccer, feel free to check us out on the Patreon.
Patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. Plans to be back next week. Should be back next week. Make sure you look for us there. And subscribe. Like and subscribe videos, all those things.
And put your best sexual positions as soccer terms in the comments. In the comments, but down below.
In the comments. Absolutely. Make sure you do that. All right. We'll talk to you guys. Bye.
Get to the chopper!
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
Can I get a manager? Can I please get a manager?
It was there. Oh, here we go. Saucing them up. Hit him. What?
Go to DEFCON 2.
WNBC. WNBC.
Michael freaking Orozco Fiscal.
What are we doing?
Morgan has done it!
The horror show.
Oh, it's incredible!
I think I'm starting to like Cincinnati.
Jay Rodius.